name is Shakira and welcome to my channel. It's been a long time since I posted anything, but since school started, I've been really busy and I've honestly been just going through it. It's been hard adjusting, being back to school and adjusting to my junior year of school. Just because it's so different. I'm finally getting into my major. I'm getting into more concentrated classes, and I also am working 20 hours a week, and I'm taking 18 credit hours, so it's a lot. And I've been trying to be consistent, but I would rather take a break and be able to produce the videos that I want to than to try to stick to a schedule and have thrown together content out. So I did take a little break, but I'm hoping to be back now with this new series about my struggles with sexual sins and with lust. God has really put this on my heart to share my story and my experiences with other people, because it's something that we don't really talk about, and you really don't hear females talking about their struggles with sexual sin and with lust. And I just feel like I should tell my story and use my life to be able to help other people who are still struggling and people who feel like they're helpless and that there's no way out. Personally, I've been struggling with lust and with sexual sins for years, for a really long time. Ever since I was in middle school, and I've even have suffered from an addiction to porn. And it's been a long time. It was a long time before I ever told anybody about that, because I was ashamed. For one, I'm a girl. Girls aren't supposed to have problems with their lust and with their sexuality. Girls are supposed to be above that and more sophisticated and more pure than guys. Our minds aren't supposed to be like that. And so I was really ashamed, so I never told anybody about that. But I realized that there are so many people suffering in silence, and if I don't speak up, then somebody else could never get their breakthrough, never get their deliverance, because I chose to keep my struggles to myself. And so, like I said before, I hope that me sharing my story will be able to help somebody. And if you are a girl who is struggling with sexual sins and with pornography and lust, I want you to know that you're not alone, you're not by yourself, and you're not dirty, you're not worthless. There's nothing wrong with you. This is something that many of us struggle with, and you can overcome it, and you can be delivered from it. I remember my first time encountering porn was in middle school. I remember just finding some DVDs one day, and just out of curiosity, I just watched it, and that curiosity started to grow more and more, and I just started to watch more and more of it, and it became an addiction for me. It came to the point where I would watch it every day. I couldn't go to sleep if I didn't watch porn. That was the only way that I could fall asleep at night. And so it became a habit for me, and I didn't know that it was something wrong. I was still a child. I just knew that what I was watching, what I was doing, it felt good, and so I wanted to keep on doing it. And it even got to the point where I could memorize those videos that I watched, and like I didn't even need the videos anymore because I could generate my own fantasies in my head and be aroused off of those. And so from a young age, my mind became really perverted, and it was also to the point where like I started to sexualize everybody that I came across. Like every guy or every man that I would see, like I will only be able to see them like through sexual lenses, and I saw myself as a sexual being. And so that later led to me falling into sexual sins. Like when I got into middle school, I started to experiment with sex. Like I never went all the way with having sex, but I did those things that did lead to sex, like being touched and touching, and having inappropriate conversations and things like that. But then when I got into a relationship in high school, then that's when I started to have sex. And so now I was in this point where I was having sex regularly and also having an addiction to porn. And I thought that like me just having sex was better than me just watching porn and masturbating. And so yeah, like I fell into this trend of just having sex and like allowing my flesh and my sexual desires to push me, and I was completely like led by that. And it caused a lot of pain and a lot of heartache in my life, and it distorted how I thought about myself. And I'll talk about this in another video, like the dangers of having sex before marriage. But yeah, I was having sex regularly, and I also had an addiction to porn. And it was my senior year of high school where I realized that like this was killing me. Like sex was taking so much from me. It changed the way I thought about myself. It changed the way I had relationships with people. It just ruined everything. And so my senior year of high school, I decided to give my life to Christ again, like completely for real this time. And I always say that that's the time where I became a real Christian, where I wanted to seek God and I wanted to be in his presence and I wanted to obey him and I wanted to love him. But even after that, it was still hard. Like I would try to read my Bible, I would try to fast, I would try to pray and get to know God. And I just started like crying out for God to deliver me and to help me. And after a while, you know, things, they started getting better. I started to try to create boundaries in my relationship. But after a while, you know, I kind of got tired of those things. And like, I started to get angry with God for having to live a life with restrictions. Like, I remember praying and talking to God, like, why can't I just be free and like do what I want to do, but you give me the grace to be protected in that. Like, I don't want to have to give up these things that feel good to me, those things that I love, but I need your protection because I understand, I know that there are consequences and dangers behind that. And so I had a really like distorted view of what a relationship with God was like. Like I thought that I just had to like do these things and like he would do something in exchange for me. So I thought, you know, I would spend some time doing devotionals and reading the Bible, and like since I've done that, you could protect me while I'm going to have sex and do what I want to do. But that is not how that works.